Welcome, dear listeners, to another tale that explores the courage it takes to break free from fear and rise to new heights. Today, I share with you the story of a young eagle, one whose wings carried the potential for greatness, but whose heart was weighed down by fear. It's a story that speaks to anyone who has ever felt held back by their own doubts, anyone who has looked at their potential and wondered, can I really reach that high? As you listen, I invite you to think about your own dreams, the heights you wish to soar to, and the fears that may be keeping you grounded. High up in the rugged mountains, where the sky seemed close enough to touch and the wind sang a song of freedom, there was a towering cliff known as the Eagle's Perch. It was a place revered by all the creatures of the land, for it was said that only the bravest and strongest eagles could reach its peak. From the perch, the entire world seemed to unfold below, a breathtaking view of valleys, rivers, and distant forests that stretched as far as the eye could see. At the base of this majestic cliff, nestled in a rocky crevice, lived a young eagle named Aelric. Aelric had been born into a family of proud and powerful eagles. His father, with wings as wide as the sky itself, had soared to the highest of heights, while his mother, swift and graceful, had explored the farthest reaches of the land. Aelric's older siblings, too, had proven their strength by conquering the Eagle's Perch, earning the respect and admiration of all who witnessed their flights. But for Aelric, the journey to the top of the cliff seemed like an impossible feat. He would watch as his family members took off with powerful flaps of their wings, effortlessly climbing higher and higher until they became mere specks in the sky. He admired their strength and grace, but with each passing day, he became more acutely aware of his own limitations. Aelric's wings were strong, but his heart trembled with uncertainty. Every time he looked up at the towering cliff, he felt a surge of fear. What if he couldn't make it? What if his wings failed him? What if he fell? These thoughts wrapped around his mind like chains, holding him back, keeping him grounded while his family soared above. His father, seeing the doubt in his eyes, would often encourage him. "You have the strength, Aelric," he would say gently. "The heights are not unreachable. They are yours to conquer." His mother would add, "The sky is where you belong, Aelric, but you must trust your wings. You must believe that they can carry you." Aelric wanted to believe them. He truly did. But every time he spread his wings and felt the rush of air beneath him, every time he took that first leap into the sky, his heart would pound, and his mind would fill with visions of failure. He would flap furiously for a few moments, only to lose his nerve and circle back to the safety of his nest. Time passed, and the other young eagles of his generation began to make their attempts at the Eagle's Perch. One by one, they launched themselves into the sky, their cries of determination echoing across the mountains. Aelric watched as they climbed higher and higher, some making it to the top, others falling short and returning to try again. Those who succeeded were welcomed at the peak with calls of triumph, their names celebrated by the entire flock. And yet, Aelric remained grounded. He couldn't shake the fear that gripped him, the fear of reaching too high and falling, the fear of failing in front of everyone, the fear of proving that he wasn't as strong or as capable as his family believed. One day, as Aelric stood at the edge of the nest, staring up at the distant perch, an older eagle landed beside him. It was his grandfather, a wise and revered figure whose feathers had turned grey with age, but whose eyes still held the keen sharpness of a hunter. "Still watching, I see," the old eagle said softly, his voice carrying both understanding and challenge. Aelric sighed and lowered his head. "I want to fly up there, grandfather, I really do, but I'm afraid. What if I'm not strong enough? What if I fall?" His grandfather regarded him thoughtfully. "The fear you feel is not unusual, Aelric. It's a part of every journey, every attempt at reaching something greater. But tell me, what do you fear more? The thought of falling, or the thought of never knowing how high you could have soared?" Aelric blinked, taken aback by the question. He opened his beak to reply, but found that no words came. He had been so focused on his fear of failing that he had never considered the fear of not trying. Seeing his confusion, his grandfather continued, "You see, the heights seem unreachable only because you have convinced yourself that they are. But you will never know your true strength until you spread your wings and give everything you have to the sky. Even if you fall, even if you do not reach the peak, you will have flown higher than you ever did by staying here." The old eagle's words lingered in Elric's mind long after his grandfather had flown away. They replayed in his thoughts day and night, a persistent whisper that urged him to think beyond his fear. What was worse, falling short of the goal or never having tried at all? One crisp morning, as the first light of dawn painted the sky in shades of pink and gold, Aelric made a decision. He would try. He would push past his fear, spread his wings, and aim for the heights that had seemed so unreachable. He knew it wouldn't be easy, and he knew the fear would still be there, but he would not let it keep him grounded any longer. Taking a deep breath, he spread his wings and launched himself into the air. The familiar rush of wind filled his ears, and for a moment his heart raced with the old, paralyzing fear. But he didn't turn back. He flapped harder, forcing himself to climb higher and higher. The ground fell away beneath him, the air grew thinner, and the peak of the eagle's perch loomed ever closer. Elric's wings began to ache, and his breath came in short gasps. His instincts screamed at him to stop, to turn around and return to the safety of the nest. But he gritted his beak and kept going. He focused on his grandfather's words, on the belief that he carried within him the strength to conquer the heights. As he climbed, he encountered gusts of wind that buffeted him back, threatening to knock him off course. He felt the strain in his muscles, the burning in his chest. He faltered more than once, nearly losing his balance. But each time he pushed on, even as doubt clawed at his resolve. At one point, the peak seemed farther away than ever, and Elric felt his energy waning. He hovered in mid-air, torn between the desire to keep going and the urge to give up. What if he couldn't make it? What if his wings gave out? What if he truly wasn't strong enough? But then, a thought crossed his mind. What if he was strong enough? What if he had what it took to reach the top? What if the only thing holding him back was his own belief that he couldn't do it? With a renewed sense of determination, Elric surged upward. He flapped his wings with everything he had, his heart pounding, his spirit alight with a fire he had never felt before. The wind roared around him, but he welcomed it. He embraced the challenge, the struggle, the fear. He didn't shy away from it. Instead, he used it to propel himself higher. And then, suddenly, he broke through the last of the clouds, and there it was, the eagle's perch. It was even more magnificent up close than he had ever imagined. The peak rose sharply, bathed in the golden light of the morning sun, and the air was crisp and clear. Aelric landed on the perch, his legs trembling, his wings aching, but his heart soaring higher than it ever had. He stood at the edge of the cliff, looking out at the world spread out below him. He had done it. He had conquered not just the height, but also his fear. He had broken free from the chains of doubt that had kept him grounded for so long. In that moment, he realized that the true challenge had never been the climb itself. It had been the battle within his own heart. As he gazed at the breathtaking view, a sense of peace and fulfillment washed over him. He knew that there would be more challenges ahead, more heights to conquer, more fears to face. But he also knew that he had found within himself the strength to keep rising, no matter how high the goal, no matter how daunting the journey. From that day on, Aelric was no longer the young eagle who watched from below, dreaming of heights he could never reach. He was the eagle who dared to try, who dared to believe in his own strength, who dared to push past fear and doubt. And in doing so, he became a symbol of courage and perseverance for all the other young eagles who looked up to him. Because in the end, it's not about how high you can fly. It's about having the courage to spread your wings, to face the fear that tries to hold you down, and to rise above it. The heights are only unreachable if you never try to reach them. And the skies belong not to those who are fearless, but to those who are brave enough to fly despite their fear. Thank you for joining me in this story of the young eagle and the unreachable heights. If this tale resonated with you, if it reminded you of your own fears and the heights you wish to reach, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's celebrate the courage it takes to conquer our own limitations and the strength we find when we believe in ourselves. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that inspire, uplift, and remind us all of the potential that lies within each of us.